Hello everybody and welcome. This is the Shy Hat, that's me, and we're doing HackerFrogs AfterSchool Web App Hacking Basics Part 4. Alright, so this is the fourth workshop associated with our web app hacking course. So before we jump into today's topic, let's do a little review. What did we learn in the previous workshop? We learned about the following web app hacking concepts. Alright, we learned about the HTTP refer header, which is misspelled on purpose. This contains the value of a complete or partial address of the web page that is making the request. It's often used for analytics or logging. The HTTP refer header is occasionally used by web app developers as a security mechanism, but this is not a good practice as it was never intended to be used in such a way. We also learned about HTTP cookie headers. HTTP cookies are commonly used as a security mechanism that allows users to maintain an authenticated user session on a website. In short, HTTP cookies allow users to log in to websites. But since cookie values can be modified by the user, proper care should be taken to ensure that valid cookie values are not predictable or easily guessed. We also covered some source code analysis, which is the process of analyzing the code of a piece of software with the goal of deeper understanding regarding its function. It's a common technique used in software security testing, but it requires the software source code to be readily available. Hachi says, hello Hachi, good to see you. I hope you've been having a lot of fun doing the Pico CTF challenges for this year's event, 2024. We have about a week left in the competition. Let me iterate one more time. So if your teammates have answered and completed a challenge, don't let that prevent you from taking your own attempt at the challenge. And it's actually even better because since you know that somebody on the team has previously solved the challenge, you could potentially ask your teammate for some hints just in case you get stuck on a challenge that your teammate has completed. Alright, so let's try to complete as many challenges as we can before the Pico CTF event ends. Alright, so we are talking about source code analysis. So it requires the software source code to be readily available. And we also learned about URL parameters, which are variables attached to the end of URLs. So you see here there's a URL right here, and this portion of it right here is the URL parameter. They're often used to send search queries to web servers, but they can be used to retrieve other data as well. And last week we learned about local file inclusion. Local file inclusion, often shortened to just LFI, is a web app vulnerability where arbitrary local web server files can be accessed through a web interface. So let's continue where we left off from last week's workshop. We left off at NATIS level 8. So this is the, let's pull that up. And if you're following along, I'm going to drop the link for you all in the chat. So as usual for NATIS level 8, we have to supply the username as the NATIS level. So that would be NATIS 8. And we also have to supply the password. So I've been keeping track of my passwords in a little file over here. So I'll just paste that in chat just in case you guys haven't been keeping track of the passwords. Okay, so we'll go back up here and we'll paste in the password and sign in. Okay, so on this web page right here, we see that there is a input secret field over here, and a submit button, and also a button to view source code. So as you remember from previous workshops, the first thing to get a feel for what's going on in a web app would be to view the source code, which you can do with the Control U keyboard shortcut. And so let me know if any of this text is a little bit too small to see on your screens. I'll try to accommodate you all. So we see here that, remember that in the Natus CTF challenges, the header over here, everything from here to about here, is not relevant to solving the level. So we see that we have a form method equals post. So when you click the button, then you're going to send an HTTP post request over here. And the input name, so the name of the input here is called the secret. And then we're going to show the source code from this link over here. So that source code link is this link right here, and we can open this up to take a look at the source code for this particular web app. Okay, so just in case, let's do a little test. So we input secret test and click submit, and it says wrong secret. Okay, so we can go to the level here, and we see the source code for this level includes this PHP script right here. So we know that this is PHP script because it includes these brackets right here. So bracket question mark and then question mark bracket. And that's how we know that we're dealing with PHP code. And then we see some sort of function. So to all of you people who took the programming course over at HackerFrogs or somewhere else, maybe with Black Girls Hack, this is some PHP code. It's not all that different from Python code, but the syntax is a little bit different. So, for instance, we have here this variable, which we know it's a variable because it has a dollar sign right here, and it's called encoded secret, and it's equal to this what would you call this? This is a hexadecimal value. So this is a hex number. So this is not the secret we're looking for. We can try copying this, and we can go over here and input this as the secret, but this is not what the app is looking for. So the app is looking for, this is looking for the secret, and after it's been put through this function, it has to equal to this, which is what this line of code is checking right here. So if encoded secret post, if the thing, so if after it runs through the encoded secret function, it's equal to this encoded secret, then it's going to let you in. It's going to print access granted, the password for Natus 9 is something, or else it's going to print wrong secret. So what can we do here to determine what is the correct value to put into this particular web app to get the password? Can anybody guess as to how we're going to solve this level? I've forgotten to, I'm going to start up my ChatGPT instance. So I hope you guys don't think that I'm some sort of complete newbie who doesn't know how to do anything unless I'm asking ChatGPT. But ChatGPT is a great resource as far as learning about pretty much anything is concerned, and especially cybersecurity. I've used, if you're having a hard time understanding some code or something in the Pico CTF, you could always try putting the input into ChatGPT and asking for advice. So over here, remember that we have Ilhan just says find the value of encoded secret. Oh, that's true. That's true. We could do exactly that. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to run this function. This function here is going to do a number of different PHP functions. There's one called bin to hex, which turns binary values into hex values. There's this one called string rev, which reverses the order of a string, so it's going to take the value of the string but backwards. And then there's this function right here, which is base64 encode. So if you remember, base64 is a encoding scheme that can be used to transform information into what would you call it? Alphanumeric, into an alphanumeric value. So what we can do is what we need to do is we need to, so this is what is used to encode the secret. So what we would do is find a way to decode the secret using reverse methods. So let's take a look at what is in the presentation. So we're doing source code analysis reverse operations. So we have our encoded secret, and then we have our function over here. Since we have the value of the encoded secret, and we know which PHP functions were used to encode the secret, we can use the reverse PHP functions to obtain the decoded secret. So before we move on, can we have a guess at what we would need to do to the secret to decode it? So we know that it's going to be base64 encoded, and then it's going to be string reverse, and then it's going to be binary to hex. So the last operation here is binary to hex, which creates this output right here. But before that, the string is reversed, and then it's base64 encoded. So the answer is, we need to take each one of these original operations and we have to do the reversed operation, which means that first we have to do bin to hex, and then we need to do hex to bin. So from hexadecimal to binary, that's the first operation we need to do. So Hachi says hex to binary. Hex to binary, that's correct. Okay, and the second operation is string reverse, which reverses the string. But the opposite operation of string reverse, in fact, is also string reverse. So we don't need to change that operation. And the last operation we need to do is, the original operation was base64 encode, which turns some data into base64. What we need to do is do base64 decode. Okay, so we can use an online PHP interpreter website to assist us in our endeavor. So we have this website right here, https onlinephp.io. So I'm going to, whoops, I didn't mean to get rid of this, but I'll paste it in so that you guys can have access to the link. Okay, so what we can do is we can take the code from this website right here. So we can grab everything from here to here, right? And we can copy it. And we can copy it directly. Okay, so we'll get rid of this add. And then we can take whatever is already here and delete it, and then just paste in this code over here. So the thing is that, first of all, we don't need this section of the code over here, so we can get rid of it. So everything up until about there, from line 8 to 15, we can just delete that. Okay, so while we're rewriting this, so why don't you guys have a try at rewriting it yourselves first. Of course, we're going to need to print out this the results of this over here. So the function, we're going to rename this to from encode secret to decode secret. And then we're going to, just like in Python, we can do print and then decode secret. And we can use the variable encoded secret. Just like this. So what we need to do is we need to change around the order. First the order, and then the actual functions themselves. So have a try at it first. I'll be following along in just a minute or so. But try it yourself first and see if you can find the value of the encoded secret. Oh, okay. Wait, this syntax is wrong. So this is PHP, so you have to end every line with the semicolon like this, and we do it like this because it's not exactly Python. This is PHP. So it said print and then space and then the name of the function and then the argument over here. So if you manage to find the value of the encoded secret, please paste it in chat, and hopefully you're able to get it done before I do. But so if you remember here, we have to flip around these two operations right here. Since the hex to bin operation is going to be first, we have to put it first inside of the nested functions over here. And then base64 decode is going to be the last function that is performed. Okay, Hachi has the answer. Nice job, Hachi. Okay, great. Okay, so let's go about changing this code then. So base64 encode is going to be replaced with the hex to bin function, and bin to hex is going to be replaced with base64 decode, and then string reverse is going to stay the same. So if we hit the execute code button, oh, line 9. Okay, so is this not decode secret? Oh, there's an extra one of these. Okay, can't have that. Okay, so this is the result right here. So Hachi has already pasted in chat, but I'll paste it in chat again. So this is what we want to use as the answer. All right, so going back to the web page, input secret, we can input this one right here, and then we can click on submit, and access granted. Okay, so that was the correct secret. Okay. All right, so we're going to record this as the Natus9 password, and I'll supply that to everybody in chat as well. Okay, so everybody, if you manage to finish this level of Natus and you manage to find the secret, please type in reverse engineer in the chat with the smiley face, just so I know that you guys have finished it. Reverse in just like this. Okay, and let's move on to Natus level 9. All right, you guys are reverse engineers. Good to see. All right, so as usual, we need to supply our username and password, and we sign in. So everybody, while we're here, I'd like to ask you. So you're both working with the PicoCTF challenges right now. What are some problems that you've had while working with the PicoCTF challenges, or have you been having a very easy time getting a hang of using the interface and completing challenges? I'd like to know. All right, so on this web page right here, we have Natus9, and it looks like we have some sort of data input field right here. Find words containing. So we're going to do test as usual, and it looks like it's giving us words that contain the string that we provide to it. So each one of these words has the word test in it. All right, that's great. So let's take a look at let's take a look at the page source for this web page. Okay, so it's very similar to the last level here. So everything up to about here, we don't need to pay attention to. But from here, find words containing input name equals needle, input type equals submit, name submit, value equals search. So this is sending a particular request to the web app, and we have our view source code link over here. And we can click on the new tab to view the source code. Okay, so this right here, it says, so the key variable is equal to the empty string. So if array key exists equals needle, this becomes the request variable. If the key variable equals the request variable needle, if key is not empty, then we're going to pass through and then this argument right here. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what this function right here does, pass through. So of course we can always do a simple Google search to figure out what this does. So we could search PHP pass-through function. So it says that the pass-through function is similar to the exec function in that it executes a command. This function should be used in place of exec or system when the output from a Unix command is binary data, which needs to be passed directly back to the browser. Okay, so what this does is that it's going to pass a command to the Unix operating system. I guess in this case it would be Linux operating system, and then the result is going to go directly back to the browser. So this lets you execute commands on the OS of the web server that is hosting the website. So seeing that we're able to do this, is there a particular, what do you think might be the route that we take to obtain the password for this level? Can you take a guess? So if we were to ask our good friend ChatGPT what some vulnerabilities might be if we use the pass-through function in PHP code, it's going to give us a number of different vulnerabilities that might occur. But the important thing for this lesson is that it says that command injection, if the user input is directly passed into the pass-through function without proper validation and sanitization, it could lead to command injection vulnerabilities. Okay, so let's learn about this. Okay, where were we? Okay, so part 9, OS command injection. So what is this? So the source code shows that the PHP pass-through function is used, which passes instructions to the underlying OS and returns the results to the output stream. Okay, so it's going to pass this command right here. So it's grep-i and then key and then dictionary.txt. So if you remember from the classes that we had a long time ago about Linux OS operations, the grep command is used to search inside of files for a particular string. So in this case, we would be looking for whatever is passed through the web app, and it searches this file right here, dictionary.txt. So that's what was happening when we sent the request over to the web app. All right, so any user input that is passed directly to the web server OS is potentially vulnerable to OS command injection. So OS command injection is a web app vulnerability where arbitrary OS commands can be performed on the web server through a web interface. So this is commonly this is in a class of vulnerabilities called injection vulnerabilities, where you're able to send code to the web application, and or in this case the underlying OS, instead of doing what the web app expects you to do. So OS command injection is a serious vulnerability and can often lead to complete compromise of the web server. And if so, the web server can be used as a foothold to attack other machines on the network. So OS command injection is a very serious vulnerability because it can allow attackers to directly interface with the underlying OS and potentially lets the bad guys get a foothold onto the web server itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to perform OS command injection on this particular web app. And so we're going to perform this particular command to read the Natus webpass file, particularly Natus 10, because that is the password we're looking for. So we're going to be using this particular command, but what does this command do? So let's take a look. So number one, the semicolon is what terminates command. So inside of Linux, so let's grab a JS Linux instance so that we can show what's going on. So if you guys want to play around with the JS Linux yourself, I'll leave the link for that in the chat. So when we use the semicolon, it's going to indicate the end of the command. So I can do ls and then semicolon, and it's just going to show us the regular output of this command. So if we do ls by itself, it does the same thing. But if we do ls and then semicolon and then who am I, then it's going to ls and then it's going to do who am I. So ls end command and then who am I, just like that. So it does the ls and then does the who am I and shows that we're the root user. So the semicolon can be used to interrupt the command that we're using inside the web app. In the web app, we're doing grep I and then key. For our key, we use the semicolon to end this command right here. So we end the command and then we do a space and we start our new command. So as we remember, the cat command is going to read files, and then we have to supply the name of the file that we want to read, which is number 3, the file path to the Natus 10 password file right here. So end the command and then cat and then the name of the Natus 10 password file. And then we need to use we don't need to use this hash, but this hash symbol over here nullifies anything that follows after this. So basically, if there were any other commands, part of the command after this that is being executed, we would use the hash symbol over here to nullify it. So if we know that the command is basically this is what we supply to the this is what we supply to the web app, but this is what we supply to the web app, but this was part of the original command right here. So it's going to grep I to dictionary.txt, but we're going to cancel this command with the semicolon, and then we're going to get rid of dictionary.txt with this hash symbol right here, and just read the password file with this part of the command. Okay, so I'll supply this particular command right here in the chat, and I hope it goes through. Okay, All right, so you can try it yourself on the web app. So if we put this as the command inside the web app, then we're going to do some OS command injection, and we're going to get our password for the next level. So we execute that, and then it replies. The output is exactly this. So this is the password for Natus level 10. Oops. Okay. All right, so let's use this information right here to log into Natus level 10. Okay, so this is Natus 10, and the password is the password that we, let me paste in the password for everybody just in case you didn't get it. Okay, and now we're at Natus level 10. So everybody, if you manage to successfully use OS command injection to get the password and get the password for Natus level 10, please type in the chat command injected, just like this. All right. Okay, so while we're waiting, let's go over exactly why this application was vulnerable to OS command injection. So the issue here is input validation. All right, Hachi has command injected. Nice to see. So this is the and Ilhan also command injected. That's great. Okay, so the point is that we have this line of code right here. If key is not equal to blank, then it's going to do the pass-through function, and then grep-i dictionary.txt. The reason why this code is vulnerable to OS command injection is because there is no input validation in place. So there's nothing that prevents us from putting in characters that could be interpreted as code by the underlying OS. So this is the problem. So it doesn't check whether or not what we're sending to the application is valid or not. So input validation is the process of checking user input for any characters the input field is not designed to process. So input validation could also be interpreted as putting letters in a number-only field. So if you're supplying a phone number, the app might not be able to process properly if you put letters in your phone number field, or if you have a name field and you just put in a bunch of numbers, that's the opposite, of course. So input validation is basically making sure that whatever is being input is the correct type of information, or the correct characters in this case. So in this case, the app should have done input validation for any characters that could have been interpreted as OS commands, such as semicolon or hash or and or the pipe symbol, etc. So now we're going to do part 10, and this is also going to be an OS command injection case, but just for the sake of completeness, let's take a look at the source code for this. So as usual, the header is not relevant to the exercise over here, but yeah, it's basically the same web app interface as the last level right here. So we do test, and we get it's basically using the same function, but conveniently this web app remembers our input. So if we were to use the same injection string that we used before, but we're looking for Natus for Natus 11 password this time, we could do this, but it says that the input contains an illegal character. So what we can infer from this is that the app is using input validation in this version of the application, right? So we can view the source code inside of our new tab, which is this right here. Okay, so this is basically the same thing as the last level, except it has this if statement right here. So if preg match and then this array of characters right here inside of the key, then it's going to print input contains an illegal character. So you can see here that inside of these quotes and inside of these slashes right here and inside of these brackets, there's 3 characters that are not allowed. And it's the semicolon, the pipe, and the and symbol, the ampersand symbol. So let's take a look. So this time we're going to do, well, we're going to call it an input validation bypass, but it's not necessarily a bypass, as you'll see in a little bit. So it's going to be looking for these characters, and if our input includes these characters, then it's going to filter our input, and it's going to say input contains an illegal character. So this version of the app inputs input validation on these particular characters. Fortunately for us, the way the OS command is set up still allows us to read the password file. So so this is a little mini challenge right here. How can this particular command right here be used to read the password file for this level? I'll give you a minute to think about this. And in fact, if you really want to, you can ask Google, or you could ask ChatGPT. And in fact, I might ask ChatGPT in just a minute and see if you can find a way to read the password level yourselves before I explain, before I walk you through it. Just for reference, I'll paste the OS command in the chat for you guys to look at. So just for your reference, the password file that we're trying to read is this one right here. I'll just leave that in chat. And if you manage to read the password file, please paste the password in the chat. And I will give you kudos for solving it without my help. So I guess while we're waiting for people to try to work this out, I'm just going to take this opportunity to do some shameless plugging of my own YouTube channel. So I'm the Shy Hat. I'm the purveyor of the HackerFrogs AfterSchool program. We have a number of educational videos that cover all the topics that we're covering inside of these workshops. We have three topics that we cover inside of our program currently. We have web app hacking, we have Python programming, and we have Linux OS operations. So that can be found at the following URL, which I'm going to leave in the chat. HackerFrogs is a program for students to learn beginners cybersecurity skills, and we also have a Reddit, which is located at reddit.com/r/HackerFrogs. Whoops. And we post all sorts of topics in here about stuff like how to get into cybersecurity, and we have our streaming schedule for HackerFrogs workshops over here, our live streams. And all right, so that's enough shameless plugging. We're going to go back to solving this particular level of Natus. So we're doing an injection for the second time, and it's we're going to call it a filter bypass, but we're not actually bypassing any filters. So we're going to send this. Hachi says, I got the answer, but I don't know what I put into get it. I was pressing delete and accidentally pressed enter and got the answer. Well, accidental successes are successes nonetheless, right? Okay, so so I'm going to go over the answer right here, and hopefully you get the answer while I'm explaining it. Okay, so we're going to use this string right here. So it's going to be A, and then the name of the file path, and then the hash right here. So what does this command do? Number one, an argument to the grep command searching for the letter A is sent to the web server. So we're basically using the command as is, and the grep command can be used to retrieve whatever word is inside of the argument. So the -i version of the grep command is going to retrieve this string if it contains this particular character. So it's A. So if the password for this if there's an A inside of the password, then it's going to return the password. So, and then there's number two, the file to be searched, the Natus 11 password file. So this is the file we're going to search in, we're going to grep inside of. And then the hash symbol nullifies what follows after. So the hash symbol was not filtered. So we can just use this to not retrieve the contents of the dictionary.txt file, right? So the above command is what is sent to the web server's OS for execution. So it's going to be this part of the command right here. So it's grep I, and then it's going to search for A inside of the password file. And if the password file contains A, it's going to return it to us. So, and then it's not going to include this part right here. So I'm going to copy this. Whoops. This is what we're going to be inputting. So I'll just paste this in chat for you guys, for y'all rather. And then we're going to go back to the web app and then paste that in. So if the letter A is inside of the password file, then it's going to return it. So we do search, and it returns this password to us because the letter A is inside the password. So we're basically using, because the OS command itself is set up in a way that leaves it vulnerable to stuff like this. We don't even need to bypass a filter to read the password file. So we're going to record this as our last password of the day. Okay, so Natus 10 is, wait, this is the one, this is the Natus 11. Sorry about that. So this is Natus 11. And we're not going to be solving Natus 11 today. But if you wanted to continue with the Natus series of CTF rooms, you're completely free to keep on going with your education. In fact, this is what HackerFrogs was designed to do, to give you all enough information to start learning on your own. So this is the password for Natus 10. Okay, so just for fun, we're going to log into Natus 10 before we finish up with today's workshop. So I'm going to ask chat. So what we learned today, did it all make sense? Hachi, do you understand why you got the answer the way you did, or is it still something that that you're not quite too sure about? Okay, so here it says cookies are protected with Zora encryption. So we're not going to be covering this, but everybody, if you managed to get the password for Natus 11, please type in filter bypassed with some smileys. So Hachi says, yes, I think I had a number at the beginning that I hadn't deleted. Okay, so Hachi and Ilhan have both filter bypassed. Good to hear. All right, so you had a number at the beginning. Okay, so, oh, all right. So since the password for Natus, for the Natus Pass 11 had a number 1, it's got a number 1 and a number 8 and a number 6 in it, then if you put any of those numbers in there, then you might have been able to read the file using the grep command. Okay, so let's explain. Let's go on to the summary for today's lesson. Okay, so let's review the web exploitation concepts we learned in this workshop. So everybody, if you have any questions about any of the concepts we learned today, or if you wanted to talk about an earlier concept that we learned in a previous workshop, go ahead and type those questions in the chat now. I'll try to address them. We learned about OS command injection. So operating system command injection is a web app vulnerability where arbitrary OS commands can be performed on the web server through a web interface. OS command injection can lead to complete compromise of the web server, and if so, the server can be used as a foothold to attack other machines in the network. So what's next? In the next HackerFrogs AfterSchool web app hacking workshop, we'll learn about the SQL database language. So SQL, also known as SQL, is the language of databases, and databases are what hold important information for web apps, such as username, password combinations, and all sorts of information. So basically, for web app hacking people, what we really want from SQL databases are the lists of usernames and passwords. So if we're able to hack a SQL database, then we'd be able to read all the information inside the database, and of course that's bad news for the web application that we're talking about. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning about how to use the SQL database in its intended manner, not necessarily hacking it. Because the first thing we need to do before we hack a system is that we have to understand the way it works. So if we're looking for more study material on this website's topics, we can take a look at the corresponding video in the description box for links into supplemental documents and exercises. So what we're going to be doing on Wednesday this week is we're going to be taking a look at more OS command injection workshops via TryHackMe. So TryHackMe has has a module called DVWA, Try Hack Me. And this is actually a very useful room. If you want to, you can take a look at it yourself before our extra credit workshop on Wednesday. And we're going to be taking a look at this room. There's a number of OS command injection exercises on this particular web app. So the DVWA is an intentionally vulnerable web app that we can use for web app hacking education and training. And you can train for a lot of different vulnerabilities using this web app. On Wednesday, I'll show you guys the web app and how we can use it for education purposes. You can take a look at it yourself beforehand, of course. But yeah, well, this workshop has been a little bit shorter than some previous ones, but I'd like to take this time to. Oh, I need to give you the survey. So if you're from Black Girls Hack, they really want me to distribute this survey to everybody from Black Girls Hack who participated in the workshop, because they need to know how I did, and they need to know whether or not I was doing a good job. So please fill in the survey and let them know if I was doing a good job or not. All right, so another thing we could potentially do to learn about OS command injection is we could go to Portswigger Academy. Which is a great website for learning about all sorts of vulnerabilities. So we're going to learn all the learning materials. And in this case, we're looking for command injection. OS command injection. I'll leave this link in the chat for you all. And if you want to do some extra research on OS command injection, you can just take a look at that article there. All right, so this week on Wednesday, we're going to be doing HackerFrogs Extra Credit OS command injection with Try Hack Me. It's going to be at the same time that we started today's workshop, which is 4 p.m. PST, 7 p.m. EST, and at our usual location. And of course, next week on Monday, we're going to be doing our training workshop on SQL database language. So SQL database language. If you wanted to take a sneak peek at that, I've got the website that I always use so I use learnpython.org for Python. But they also have a section on SQL. Let's see if it loads up anytime soon. It's taking its sweet time. And they have a section on SQL over here. So Learn SQL Online, I'll leave that link for you as well, if you wanted to learn the basics of SQL over here. So before we wrap up, on Wednesday we're going to be doing our extra credit workshop on OS command injection. That's going to be a good time, and I think I'm going to be able to show you all how we can get direct access to the web server by using OS command injection during that workshop. As well, on Monday, we're going to be doing our workshop on learning how to interact with the SQL database language. But until then, I'd like to say thank you very much for coming today. Thank you very much for learning, and have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.